is this positive space that you're in, is that something that comes naturally to you, or is that something that requires a lot of effort and maintenance?
No, it's kind of the way I'm wired. I think
Yeah.
I've always been wired like this, but I've been tested through suffering into my own resilience. Like, so my ability to tolerate negative thinking for a shorter and shorter amount of time, and having methods to pull myself out of the gutter. That, the pain and suffering and anguish has helped to polish those skills. And not to say that I don't go as low as anybody does, but I think I go there shorter, you know, because I go sit on my meditation cushion. I go sit on the rocks by the river, and I deliberately recognize I am not feeling good and I don't deserve this. I'm doing it to myself. I'm getting into this negative headspace that is always available, but it's the separated mind. And that's not who I am. It's the separated, compartmentalized, dark space within the consciousness where we disconnect from who we really are, which is connected, connected to everyone, everywhere. That there's no limits to that. And then the light pours in. There's a waterfall of it. But for me, I had to go, early on. It was, unhealthy parents that died young. Both of my parents died at 54 years old from illness, sadness leading to illness. They taught me a buttload. They taught me how to love unconditionally. How to be open-minded to all souls, regardless of their religion or culture or anything like that. So they gave me a buttload. So early on, I was able to begin that road, but it didn't make sense to me fully until I had to nearly die a bunch of times. It's nothing like having your life taken away from you and then given back to make you appreciate every breath. And so my near death experience most recently was one of the biggest turnarounds of my life. I mean, I thought that smacking into the ground paragliding was going to be, my turning point, and I wouldn't need another one. I was wrong. I needed another big, sort of lift me up out of my life in a more physical way, because I didn't, my heart didn't stop when I hit the ground paragliding. Okay, probably one beat, but it was brief. That was more the physical pain and the pain of pain, and like, I can't skydive, that kind of thing. So that was restructuring my mind so that I can be okay with not jumping. So they don't need to skydive to be okay. That was that message. But this one was much bigger. This was a very transpersonal experience outside of my own ego, outside of my own construct of what reality is. To exit and then see everything from a much, much larger perspective, as the consciousness soup that is underneath all of us. We all think we're so separate. It's all one ocean, but you have these little eddy, these little lagoons, individuality. But I think the suffering is when we think I'm the lagoon. I am this separate thing, and I am what I am. And oh, look, there's garbage floating by, and oh, a swirl of leftover oil from an oil spill or something. We think that's who we are. And that's not true. And that is what I got out of this one, was an expanded view where I see the interconnectivity of everyone. I feel it, and I can't hate anybody. Even the ones that really are splashing around, they're making the waves in the ocean. Um, they're serving a purpose too.
So I've had a number of like really shouldn't be on this planet anymore experiences. And I'm not sure what happened with the most recent one, but it sounds like a different flavor. It's a different flavor when it's not something of your own doing.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Was
Hmm.
it,
Well, I mean,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, certainly there's the choice, when somebody gets super depressed and they're considering making the choice to just exit because they can't take it anymore.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Right.
that's different too. That's different.
Right. And that's that turning point where somebody decides, I'm not going to put a gun in my mouth. I'm not going to step in front of a bus.
Sure.
That's a big step. We to choose to live, right? And when we make that choice to really live, then you choose the broccoli over the garbage food or something. You choose to exercise instead of lay there on the couch. It's vital, but for me, I think on a soul level, it was all chosen. I think I chose to have a heart attack before I was born. That's my cosmology. That's my belief.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember it. It doesn't make sense from my human perspective, but I think that's the way it goes. Uh, but the choice to resurrect myself was my own. The choice to suck in life force energy from everywhere, every plant that I smile at, every tree that I hug, every smile I get from a child, it's all uplifting me into the next phase of my life, so I can, be that really old skydiver someday, so that I can share what I've learned. And it's only one perspective. Lots of people will disagree with, and that's fine too. But you got to share your point of view, I think. Mhm. Mhm.
That's the idea. It's really
Yeah.
helpful to me to have something to relate to.
Hmm.
I can tell
Yep.
you that.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, you're going to keep running into it. Everybody is. You're going to run into these, resistance that you think it's futile. It's impossible. That you can't cost, the next breath seems like too much work. I can't envision tomorrow. It's just too much. And that place is from the limited perspective of the ego. The ego is just this separated consciousness that wanted to experience separation. They wanted to feel something other than love, to creep its way step by step back into it, to come to a conclusion again and again and again that actually being, angry and scared is not where it's at. To reach out in compassion, to see through somebody's eyes that you really up till now have not been able to see through their eyes. They just seem nuts. They seem wrong. And that's a cutoff, right? Anytime we judge, it's a cutoff. And that cutoff is part of, the energy flow in and out of you. There's a major cost to that. So that was one of the wake ups for me through the past 3 years of my experience, that compassion isn't a choice anymore. I could turn it on or off before and vilify somebody. I can't anymore. I just love them. And the more pain that they're in, and more anguish and anger that they're exhibiting, and closed-mindedness, the more I feel it. The more I'm like, I just want to cry for them, because of what they're cutting themselves off from. Um, so yeah, I can't do the hate thing anymore, despite the fact that there's a lot on a 3D level, on a surface level. There's an awful lot in this world to hate if you want to go down that road. Mm. But yeah, my last video walking around DC, I was surprised. A lot of people were like, that's too much. I mean, you can, I mean, they didn't really say so much, but it wasn't a resounding yes from the crowd, because I think it was so far and out of left field. You want everybody, you want us to love everybody? I can't do that. You don't want us to, feel connection to somebody that is of the other political party?
I think that's probably why, because it wasn't polarizing in any way. And at some point, I think, um, you just get addicted to the chaos.
Yes. Endorphins. Yeah. Yeah, we do get addicted to the excitement of it, the attack, the mind of attack. And I'm now, on the battlefield and fighting the good fight, right? I mean, there's both sides, right? Whether you're far right or you're far left, it's like we're the good guys. Everybody thinks they're the good guys. Every criminal in prison
Right.
thinks that they were the good guys. They did it.
Right.
They have no guilt about it in general. I mean, I'm sure there's people that are recalcitrant and have changing of heart, but in general, the ego makes sense of the thoughts that it's having. And those thoughts may or may not come from a truly logical process. A lot of it is fed to us as a program from culture. You hear people saying things that lots of other people say. Was it really your thought then if you're just regurgitating something you saw on, MSNBC or Fox News, whichever end of the polarity? No, you're
Right.
just being a parrot. You're not thinking for yourself. So yeah, I think that's just the ego conglomerate. I don't think the ego is truly separate. I think that if you add up all the ego separate minds, they're all kind of doing the same thing in one way or another.
Yeah,
It's all kind of a stereotypical thought process that is not fun.
it's not. Um, well, I appreciated it, and just from where I am currently situated, I think my soul is hungry for those little doses of positivity lately, especially. So,
Yeah. Well, keep looking because there's more out there. You start digging in that direction, you'd be amazed how much is there to somebody that's unfearful of new ideas. Oh my God, the internet is full of new information that resonates. You hear it, and it's not just a person reporting their individual experience that has nothing to do with yours. You're listening to these people talk, interviews, shows like Next Level Soul is amazing. Alex Ferrari, he's amazing. And he interviews all these people that are just doing things that are really, really different, psychics and mediums and channels. And you're like, this is weird. And I channel an alien or whatever. And he's just open-minded. He's just, I'm just going to ask questions and not make a judgment. And he stands in a good place that way. But he's a really good guy. Like, you get to love his personality. He's just so genuine. He's a dad. He's a regular kind of a guy that came from the film industry as a director and then went into this podcast just like he was curious about the spiritual stuff, the weird stuff. And so he's interviewed, hundreds of near-death experiencers and stuff like that. And it's also positive. They all come back from their near-death experiences rejuvenated and psyched about life and kind of weirded out by what just happened. It's an earth-shattering kind of a thing. Yeah, it's out there if you're willing to look for it and not judge it, and just observe it. And some of it you'll go, I don't know about that one. That felt a little off, something about it. And that's fine. Change the channel. Flip to another video. But there's an awful lot of uplifting stuff out there for those that are willing to give it a try. I'm Brian Germain, and thank you for joining.